welcome to episode 14 of the Mr. Douglass Sports Show. I'm your host, as always, Corey Douglas, and I got a couple special guests on here, and today we are discussing NBA playoff basketball down in Orlando. So as you can see, I have my boy Jordan back from the last podcast, but I also have another very special guest, Bibs. Bibs is in the building, Bibs Corner. How are you doing today, Bibs?
Literally in the corner over here. I'm doing good, man. It's been a good day, and I'm excited about seeing the Mavs in the playoffs.
And how about you, Jordan? How are you doing today?
Same, man. We out excited. We out MFFLs over here. We ready to rock and roll, baby.
Already. All right, so Bibs, like I said, I had Jordan on last time. I always start off these episodes with just how everybody's quarantine was doing. So just fill me on what you've been up to, and has it affected you personally, and just your overall thoughts on what's going on.
Oh, man. I mean, when it first hit back in March, we didn't know how long it was going to be. Like, if you had told me in the beginning we'd be still stuck in the house in August, I would have been devastated, like, just thinking about it. My job moved to home pretty quickly, so I've been working from home. That's been all right. I'm not really a outgoing person, really, so I don't need to be out all the time. But even for me as an introvert, not being able to travel, and then just the one thing I do is go to movies pretty regularly, and, the movie theaters are closed. So that part of it's been tough, not being able to travel, not being able to go to movies. But at the end of the day, we got to do what we got to do to get this behind us.
Definitely. So, Jordan, has anything changed since last time we spoke? Or are you still hanging in, working from home?
Yeah, I'm still at the crib. Nothing's changed. The one's getting bigger. She's getting crazier. But by that, all is good. All is well.
Now, before we get to NBA basketball, I do have one just follow-up question. And because I've seen a lot of people traveling out. Are either of you out there, living life and going places, or are you still posted up at the crib?
I'm not going anywhere. I'm chilling.
How about you, Jordan?
Nah, restaurant. Everybody, I went to those. I couldn't resist. But besides that, I've been in the crib. My birthday, I wanted to catch a flight, but I didn't want to chance it with the 1-year-old. So we've been in the crib. Man. We just chilling.
Yeah, I actually went to the pool for the first time this past Saturday. And, they have all these types of rules and restrictions at the apartment complex I live in. And we get to the pool, and it is filled with just families and everything. You're talking about 2 guests or not even 2 guests, but 2 people per household that can come to the pool. And they got that pool packed. So I was just like, well, man, what are we doing here? But overall, it's still a good time. But let's go ahead and dive into the playoffs. We're going to make predictions for each series. But I kind of want to start it off with just 5 players that are under pressure during the 2020 playoffs. 1 through 5. We'll start with you, Jordan. Who are your 5 players that are under the most pressure in the NBA, these NBA playoffs?
Number 5, I'm at the top of the list. I'm going to go with the bearded man himself, James Harden. I feel like he always has the numbers to win MVP, but I feel like he's under a lot of pressure because I don't know how long Westbrook is going to be out. They said a few games. That could be 2 or 3. So don't sleep on Oklahoma. They're a tough team, so I think he is going to be under a lot of pressure in that first round. My next person, number 4, is Pascal Siakam. He leads Toronto in scoring. He's been having a phenomenal year, but now it's big time. That he has to show that he can somewhat fill that void for Kawhi, even though it can't be one person. It's going to be a team effort. But I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure in these playoffs. Number 3 on my list, the one and only from Milwaukee, Chris Middleton. We spoke of him in our past episode about, he has to be that sidekick to Giannis. So if they don't come out and ball, then Giannis could definitely be going somewhere else in the future. So Chris Middleton has to have big boy playoffs. Number 2 on my list, without beef and controversy that's going on, PG-13, Paul George. You saw Lillard call out for jumping from team to team, so I think he has a lot to prove. We know Kawhi, he's going to do what he needs to do, Clippers, but Paul George needs to show up and show out and have a big boy playoffs. And my number 1 player who's under the most pressure in these NBA playoffs, the unibrow, Anthony Davis. A lot of people have the Lakers winning the championship, and LeBron is not that same. He's not that same go-to guy. He's still a beast, but we know he leads the league in assists. So Anthony Davis is going to have to step it up scoring-wise, and he has to carry that load. So I think Anthony Davis is under a tremendous amount of pressure this year in the playoffs.
All right, solid list. All right. Bibs, what you got for me?
Oh, man, we actually have a little bit of a different list. We got two of the same, but three are different. So I'll start from number 5. Number 5 on my list, I'm actually going to put Dame at number 5. He's got a lot of attention, got the bubble MVP. Everybody's, expecting him to show up. People have been saying, the Blazers can upset the Lakers. So they come out and get swept. That's not a good look for Dame. Like, it's going to ruin all the goodwill that he's built.
He's going to prove Skip right.
Exactly. Skip wins either way. Like, either he pushed him over the top or Dame was who we thought he was. So he can't lose. So that's my number 5. Number 4, I'm actually going with Embiid. A lot of talk about the 76ers having redundancies with him and Ben together. So now Ben is gone. And so Embiid's got to step up, like Shaq and them said, 30 and 15 a night and really dominate. It doesn't matter what the results are, but if he shows out, then that might maybe Ben Simmons is expendable for the 76ers. Number 3 on my list, I also went with a Buck, but I went with Giannis. I do agree. I like your reason for picking Middleton. I'm kind of on the same boat, but for me, it's Giannis because MVP probably 2 years in a row, probably going to be the defensive player of the year this year. If he doesn't get to at least the finals this year, the pressure is really going to start mounting on him to really get something done there or become another one of those guys hopping teams. So definitely had to put Giannis on the list. Number 2, the bearded one, as you said. I'm not a fan personally, but I'll put that aside. I mean, he hoops, and I know he has the talent to really get a team over the top. It just hasn't happened for him yet. And it's going to be very embarrassing for him, though, to lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder after trading Chris Paul over there. And you know that Chris Paul and them young boys are ready.
Yep.
So I'm excited for that series. I'm really excited for that series. And then number 1, we got the same number 1, Anthony Davis, the unibrow. LeBron is over the hill. He's not trying to have to score 30 points a night in these playoffs. It's got to be AD. He's got to be the go-to. And if AD doesn't show up, then the Lakers are primed for an upset, in my opinion.
I think you guys nailed a lot of the names that I have. In fact, you guys nailed every one. So my order is a little bit different. But for number 5, I have a 2-pack. I have a Buck 2-pack. I have
2-pack? What?
Yeah. They're together. They're together. They're both Giannis and Middleton. They're both on my list, but for different reasons. I think you hit it, Bibs, with what you said about Giannis, how, if you win MVP twice, you're Defensive Player of the Year, you've been a sweetheart for long enough at this point. So now you really have to get to the finals, win a championship. And if you don't, you are going to have – the pressures are going to mount in little old Milwaukee. And then Chris Middleton, I personally think he's the most important player for the Bucks and for keeping Giannis in Milwaukee, because if he can show some fight in the playoffs, it's going to make Giannis more comfortable about staying in Milwaukee. But if he shows and disappears again, Giannis is going to look at that and be like, okay, I'm going to have to start hopping teams and look for my next destination. Number 4, Bibbs, you hit it with Dame. A lot of pressure is on him this time. The bubble MVP, it's cute and all, but now you gotta make a series out of this. Now, like you said, a lot of people are picking them to win this series. Personally, we'll get to that later. I don't know if I'm with that yet. But he has a lot of pressure on him, and he's not to show up. Paul George is number 3 on my list, and his playoff resume is lacking. And like Dame called him out for being a team hopper. And if you're hopping teams under Kawhi, Kawhi's going to get in you too. I think he's going to hold him accountable. So Paul George is definitely going to have to come with it. James Harden, the beard, is number 2. And he's kind of in that same realm as Giannis. You know, you're doing this year after year after year after year with no postseason success. You haven't even made the finals as a leader in Houston. So James Harden, you got to come with it. And like you said, Bibbs, I don't like his game. I can't stand it. I know he's talented, and it's not my brand of basketball that I enjoy watching. So he's got to come with it. And then number one, you guys nailed it, Anthony Davis. You know, it was cute, and you asked out from New Orleans, and you went to LA. You asked for the brighter lights, a bigger stage. So come with it. And I didn't like the way he was looking in the bubble games, the 8 seeding games. I didn't like his body language. I didn't like his whole demeanor. And he doesn't look like a guy that's ready to take that step and elevate in the playoffs. So we'll see how that shakes out. So that completes the 5 players facing the most pressure in the 2020 playoffs. So let's go ahead and run down these East playoffs real quick and these playoff series with predictions. Let's start out East with the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks taking on the 8 seed Orlando Magic. Milwaukee went 3-5 in the bubble games, as well as Orlando. They also went 3-5. How do you see this series shaking out, and how many games?
I said Bucks in 5. I feel like there's going to be at least one game where the Magic put it together. And I think, did they play each other first round last year? I think that if they did, the Magic won the first game, if I'm not mistaken. I should have done the research.
I think they played Toronto. They played Toronto.
Did they beat Toronto?
Yeah. They beat Toronto game 1.
Okay. All right. I couldn't remember, but they always Vucevic always shows up. He's going to be big time. He could have a ridiculous game and put a lot of pressure on the Bucks. So I think they'll steal one. There's no home court advantage, no travel, anything like that. So it's just basketball. And the Bucks have looked kind of flat to me in the bubble as well. So I think they'll get at least one wake-up call.
All right. And for me, I'm also taking the Bucks in that series. I think they're going to sweep them. I think that the drive that Milwaukee has is going to be enough to overpower Orlando. They're a pretty young team for the most part. Like you said, Vucevic can get hot for a game, but I just don't see Vucevic as the player that's going to drive his team to take a game by himself. So I have the Bucks getting them out of here in 4 games.
Ooh, I want to give Orlando a game so bad, and if they're healthy, I probably would. Gordon he was balling around in the bubble. Aaron Gordon got hurt. So, man, I have to agree with Corey, man. I think they're going to bring them street sweepers out, boys, man. I like Vucevic's game. I think that the defense Milwaukee plays, they'll double him and try him and make somebody else beat him. And I don't know if they have anybody else besides Terrence Ross that can consistently score the ball. So I think Giannis is on a mission, and I think they're going to bring the sweepers out. Sweep!
That would excite me to see that. If they get a sweep, then I'll feel good about their chances getting through the East.
Where their mentality is, right?
Right. Exactly.
All right. And then going to the number 2 seed Toronto versus the 7 seed Brooklyn. Toronto really surprised me in the bubble, just the way they came out, the whole demeanor. I just like the way they play as a team. And I had the Bucks going to the finals before the bubble game started. And I'm kind of scratching my head on that one at this point. But, we'll see how that kind of works. Brooklyn went 5-3 in the seeding games. Karis LeVert really impressed me with the way he was playing. And Toronto's trying to become the second team ever to go back to the finals after losing their leading scorer the previous year. How do you guys see that series playing off, Jordan?
Man, I'm going to give the Nets one game, basically just because of Karis LeVert. I mean, you heard Dame say, man, he's cold. And he is. That boy can put the ball in the hole. They're going to be dangerous in the future. But I think Bert is going to drop like a 4-ball on them, and they take one game. They were getting killed a while ago, and they really came back. They got within 11. So I think Nets, they have a really good coach staff, and I think Karis LeVert will get one game. So I got them in 5, losing to Toronto in 5.
All right, and I'm on the same page on that. I have Toronto in 5 as well. I just think the overall team basketball is just going to overwhelm Brooklyn, and I think it's just going to be too much. And Brooklyn's missing a lot of talent down there in Orlando. With KD obviously missing the whole season, Kyrie shoulder injury, Dinwiddie opting out, DeAndre. They're missing too much, and Toronto's just too good of a team, so they're gonna go ahead and take care of them in 5. Bibs, what you got?
Same thing. Raptors in 5, like you said. Think. Oh man, LeVert had a terrible game shooting today. I think he had a career high with assists, like 15 or something like that, but couldn't hit anything today. And still, they got right there in the second half. So if he gets hot one of these games, definitely could see them stealing one. And they just fight so hard. Like they don't quit. They got down by 33 in this game and came back. Like a lot of scrappy dudes. Like these are the guys that they're gonna have coming off the bench. So that's just scary for the league next year. Like they're missing their whole starting lineup basically.
And to take it back to Milwaukee real quick, this might be Milwaukee's best chance to get out of the East with Brooklyn coming back next year with KD and Kyrie. I mean, that can get dangerous.
Yep.
Yes.
So next, we're going to move to the 3 seed Boston Celtics taking on the 6 seed Philadelphia 76ers. I'll go ahead and start this one. I have Boston winning in 6. I think the whole dynamic of this series changes without Ben Simmons. I think Embiid is a beast, and I think he can put up the 30 and 15 that you discussed earlier. But like you said, I don't think it's going to be enough to take care of Boston and just the overall balanced team. So I have Boston winning that in 6. Bibs, what do you got?
I got Boston in 5. Embiid, he likes to. I mean, I can't take him seriously at this point. Like, I don't trust him to put the team on his back at this. I feel like he's the type of guy when the team gets down big, he's gonna be falling on the ground, looking for fouls and looking goofy. So they might steal one, but I can't
Going
see
to
him.
the locker room.
Right.
Man, I want to agree with y'all, but you know what? I feel like for Philly, they got the best matchup. I feel like Boston weak on this side. And I feel like Embiid maybe 40-15 because, I mean, Boston is really weak on the inside. And don't forget they got Horford now. He has some proof to that old team that left. So I'm going to just go off the wing here, man. I'm going to take Philly in 7.
Nice. First upset of the picks. And then this is one of the more intriguing series of the entire playoffs to me. The 4 seed Indiana Pacers versus the Miami Heat. Obviously, Indiana, we know TJ Warren versus Jimmy Butler. That was a big to-do about something. Even though we all know nobody's going to throw hands in the NBA. But Indiana went 6-2 in the bubble. Miami went 3-5. How do you guys see that series shaking out?
Man, I hate it for the Pacers. I feel like anybody else would have been a better matchup. They were balling. They're killing TJ Warren. Has been hot at least, but this is their kryptonite. This is the team that they did not want to play. So I have the Heat 6, Jimmy Butler, Bam, and oh my goodness, man, they got so many good young players. None, Tyler Hero. They're very deep and they're a great defensive team. I have the Heat in 6.
And I'm on the same page with you there. I have Miami in 6 as well. I think Jimmy Butler is the type of guy where he's just petty enough to really take this seriously. And I don't expect TJ Warren to be able to carry the offensive load that he's been able to carry throughout the seeding games. And I think they'll be able to take care of Indiana in 6.
Okay. Yeah, I have Heat in 6 as well. I've been trying to count out the Pacers all year, and they just keep outperforming expectations. So if they end up winning the series, I wouldn't be surprised at all. But I just can't do it to Jimmy Butler. I think he's the best player in this series. The only thing I worry about with the Heat is their young players. We don't know what's going to happen to them when they get under those bright lights of the playoffs. So, like, if Hero's throwing up bricks, Duncan Robinson's not hitting, that's going to be a problem. But I can't pass on Jimmy.
Yeah, and I almost think this bubble setting is almost a blessing for some of the role players and some of the young players, just because you're not having to go into road environments, hostile environments. So I think that definitely helps. But yeah, I think it's a big wild card. So good point on that one. So let's go ahead and take it to the West. We'll start with the number 1 seed Los Angeles Lakers versus the 8 seed Portland Trailblazers. Bibs, I know Dame's your guy, so I'm going to go ahead and toss it to you.
Blazers? No, I was kidding. No, I ended up going with the Lakers in 6. I feel like Dame and them will probably come out and steal one of the first 2 games. And at that point, LeBron's going to be in the locker room looking like Supreme Dreams in AD's face. Like, hey, bro, like, I sacrificed all these young dudes to get you here. Brandon Ingram is hooping. I need you to step up. You need to be getting me 35 points. Ain't no reason Nurkic should be stopping you. Bring him out if he steps out on you. You got Collins on you. You bigger than him. There ain't no excuse for this. Let's get it done. And they end up pushing it through in 6 games.
Yeah, I think for the Lakers, they've been one of the more confusing teams I've seen in that bubble games. Their shooting is all over the place. Like I said earlier, Anthony Davis doesn't look like he even wants to play. He doesn't look like he's ready for the brighter lights that are about to come with playing LA in the playoffs. But I still have the Lakers in 6. I just can't see Portland keeping up the type of energy that they've had to fight to even get to this point. And I think they run out of gas this series. And I got the Lakers in 6.
Oh, man. I'm just excited to see the bromance. I'm excited to see Brian Carmelo. I know LeBron's excited to see Carmelo. Shout out to Melo. He was Bob, man. Really, really Bob. I thought he was washed up. I know Anthony Davis is number 1 on this, or the most pressure. But this series is it's Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma has to give you about 15 to 20. And I think if they do that, the Lakers will win in 6. If Kuzma is tripping, this could easily go to 7 games. Man, Portland is deep. They've been playing phenomenal, but I think the Lakers can score. Then they'll handle them 6 games. If not, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to take 7.
And we're going to skip over the 2 seed Clippers because we're going to do a full deep dive into that here in a little bit. So let's go ahead and go to the 3 seed Denver Nuggets versus the 6 seed Utah Jazz. Both teams went 3-5 in the bubble games. Obviously, they had game 1 earlier today. Denver squeaked it out in overtime despite Donovan Mitchell's 57-point outburst. Jamal Murray was huge down the stretch. Overall, Bibs, who do you got in this series?
I had to go with the Nuggets in 6. I think losing Bogdanovich is just too big of a blow. Donovan can't score 50 points every game. Denver's gonna come with something for that. Nobody else had 20 points in this game, and I think Murray and Jokic both were over 30 for the Nuggets. Like when you have 2 guys that you can go to, you saw in overtime, the Jazz just didn't have any more offense left, and Murray and Jokic just took turns throwing bombs in the end. And I think that just having that depth that the Nuggets have is what's going to end up winning them this series.
All right, I agree. Also, I think Denver is going to win in 6. And coming into the series before Donovan Mitchell went for 57, I was like, Donovan Mitchell's going to have to carry a huge workload during this series for them to even make this series competitive. And he did just that today. Obviously, Mike Conley's out of the bubble. And just some of the guys that they were throwing out there today, just in the rotation, it's just like this is not a playoff rotation. They don't appear playoff ready. It just appears Utah can't catch a break when it comes to this season. They haven't really been together healthy or just for whatever the circumstances are. They haven't been together most of the season. So I think their season will end this series, and I think it's going to end in 6 games.
Man, when I wrote this, I had Utah in 7. I thought Conley would, be a ball handler for Utah. I thought, with no Gary Harris and no Will Barton, I didn't think Denver had enough. But if no Mike Conley is going to show up, I know that he's going to be back soon, maybe a 4-day quarantine because he's getting tested daily where he's at. But yeah, I got the Nuggets in 6. If you have somebody out there who can handle the ball and get everybody else involved for Utah, then trust. No Conley, them 6.
And now we are going to move on to another one of the more exciting series in this playoffs. The number 4 seed Houston Rockets, the 5 seed OKC Thunder. Both teams went 4-4. Obviously, Houston's going to be without Westbrook for however long during this series. Who knows if he'll be back at all. CP versus Harden and his former team. Got a little history there, obviously. How do you see this series playing out, Jordan?
I'm most excited about it. I think our Mavs, so we love that we're in the playoffs, but man, it's had a little level of pettiness to it. And I think that OKC is a deep team, and they're going to be a mission to prove something. So I got OKC in 6 games. If it's me, I'm just in a boxing one, and I'm getting the ball out of horse's hands. I'm going to make these other guys beat. So I think OKC can do it. I got Oklahoma in 6 games in Houston.
Bibs?
I got a little bit of skin in this game because I'm very anti-Houston small ball. I like the matchup because I think OKC has enough long defenders to cause problems with Harden. And like you said, I would run probably like a box and 1, triangle and 2 type situation against them. So you can kind of hide Adams down low and not have him chasing guys out to the perimeter all the time. I picked OKC in 7 also. I think CP3 is on a mission. I think he's got a lot of young, tough, scrappy guys that want to play defense and aren't going to be like the Mavs players losing their guys on the perimeter when Harden drives. And then having Adams down low to clean up messes if Harden leaks through, it's going to be a rough night for the Rockets, I think. Every game is going to be down to the wire.
So this is kind of what I've been waiting for the Rockets, because I was one of the ones that mocked the Rockets when they went to this small ball mess. And I was like, okay, there's no way this is going to work over a long period of time. And then they came out and they were playing well with it. But this is the time where in a playoff series, when a team is focusing directly on that small ball and they can adjust to it over a 7-game series, they'll be able to kind of slow it down and, kind of get used to playing that style. But with that being said, I'm picking Houston in 7. As painful as that is, I think Westbrook's going to come back at some point during this series, and I think that's going to be the difference maker. And, yeah, it pains me to say it, but I have Houston winning in 7 games.
It sounded painful.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts. So now, the series that we've all been waiting for. Our Dallas Mavericks, because we're all Mavs fans, but we're objective. I can't say that off the rip. Versus arguably the best team in the NBA this season, the Los Angeles Clippers. And I guess, was this a matchup that we all wanted to avoid coming into the seeding games?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page there. So when the matchup became official, Dallas versus LA, the Clippers, what were you guys' initial thoughts? Bibs, we'll start with you. I know you've already had a whole preview for it, a breakdown, but just give me your initial thoughts, and then we'll kind of work our way through.
So, obviously it's a matchup we wanted to avoid. I think they're our worst matchup. They're big, they're physical, experienced, like the complete opposite of us. I accepted it because, the expectations for this team were low. My expectations were make the playoffs. So the fact that we're probably not going to get past this series, it's whatever. Like, this is about learning for these guys. I'd rather them not get beat up every night while learning, but, it is what it is. I think Luka's probably the type of guy that probably needs to get smacked in the mouth a couple times to kind of realize where he's lacking and where he needs to improve and what we need to do. KP also, our best games are when he gets into the interior. So this is going to force him to either do that or become a jump shooter and get clowned all season. So I embrace it for that reason.
Yeah, it's the only team that truly struck Luka. They tomorrow a lot. So I think for a while, those two best defend the league along with Patrick Beverley. So just going to be a growing experience for us, and just hoping that we can give them some competition.
Yeah, and I think coming into the seeding, I was like, please give us anybody besides the Clippers that was the one team I was just like, man, you give us Denver, give us Utah, give us Houston. But at the same time, now that I've actually accepted that this is the matchup, I think this is going to be a great learning experience for Luka and KP. And I think we're really going to find out exactly what we need during this series around Luka and KP to make sure that we're title contenders next year and going forward. So, I still hate the matchup, and I don't expect, a whole lot, but I definitely think this will be a learning experience. So, kind of staying on the topic of Luka and KP, what are you guys' expectations for Luka and KP during this series?
Expectations of Luka, really just having a triple-double. I want him to score more, but it's so much tension at times that it's like he has to pass me. Like you say, I'm not going to let Luka beat me. So I expect Luka average about 30, somewhere near about 14 to 15 assists a game and about 10 boards a game. KP, goodness gracious, that is hard on him. I want him to get the inside, but man, he can shoot rock. He can shoot the hell out of it. So I just want to see him, rebound. I want him to block some shots because I feel like he doesn't do that enough. He gets infallible and he's not as aggressive shot. And so KP, 25, 10, and about 3 blocks a game will be perfect. My stats for both of them.
The most important thing to me is just to see both of them fight. Like, not quitting on the team, not settling for stupid jump shots. Like, I want to see them, with that laser focus in their eyes, like getting up off the court, wiping the blood off and keep moving type of stuff. Like, statistically, I expect 30 points a night from both of them. 20 shots a night from both of them, like not backing down or shying away from the competition. And then, like you said, I want to see both of them show something more on defense. Luka being more disciplined off ball and not losing his man, because that just completely ruins our defensive rotations. And then KP being more aggressive, protecting the rim. Like, if that means running from the free throw line to chase somebody down and pin it off the glass, we need those type of plays because that gives your team, like, that energy. It lets your role players know that you got their back and you're fighting for them, and then they step up and they feel more comfortable. So that's the type of things I want to see. If we lose every game by 40, but they're going all out like that, that's fine with me.
Yeah, and I think for me, start with Luka. I want to see him. Obviously, I want to see him have success as far as numbers go, but I also want to see his mentality change because I think right now we're seeing too much of the looking at the officials, not getting back on defense, and letting the officials really affect his game and frustrate him. So, for one, I want to see that cut out. This is playoff basketball. They're going to be physical. They're going to be tough. I mean, that's what the Clippers are. And they're going to talk trash. Like Patrick Beverley, he's one of the most annoying players in the league with that. But that's his style. And I want to see Luka kind of just look off the officials and just play basketball. Just go hoop. And I want to see him when he gets to the free throw line, because I think he's going to get to the free throw line 10-plus times a game just because they are going to be so physical. And I think he has enough in his game to kind of offset that and kind of get to where he wants to go on the court. So I want him to make his free throws. And then for KP, I want to see him be a physical presence down low offensively. Don't be strong with the ball. If you're going to make a move to the hole, be physical with it. Know that you're going to have hands reaching in. Know you're going to be bumped. I think Marcus Morris is going to take that. Zubac is going to take that, even though I don't think Zubac can guard KP when KP is in his bag offensively. But I think the overall physicality of the Clippers, I need to see KP just be real physical and strong with the basketball. And like you guys said, he needs to score 30 a game. I think that is definitely – I mean, that should be money for him. So we'll kind of see how it shakes out starting tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time. And one of the overall questions, getting off of Luka and KP, one of the overall questions is the usage of BOBAN. Do you guys expect to see BOBAN in this series? And should he play during this series?
Expect to see him? Yes, I do expect to see him. I expect, I think I said on my podcast, if he doesn't play at least 15 minutes in this series, like somebody like challenge me, bet me, tell me to post an Abby or send him $1, something like that. Like I'll do it. Like I'm that confident that he's going to at least see 15 minutes. Not a game, but just 15 minutes. Like Rick is going to give him a run to see if he can help out on the interior.
I've been a Mavs fan a long, long time, and one thing I learned about Carlisle, I never know what the hell is going on in his rotation. I love him as a coach, but in these ball games, I'm saying, it's Boban. Where's Boban? And it just seems like he doesn't want to play in the second half. So hopefully he's saving him. Boban is definitely a great rim protector. Pick and roll defense is not bad. I don't know. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George be coming off those screens, and they're going to have one with Boban, barbecue chicken. So I definitely want to see him get minutes, but I just don't know what to expect with Coach Carlisle. So I'm at a loss for word. Hopefully he gives at least 10 minutes a game, but who knows?
Yeah, and I'm with you. I have no idea what Carlisle is going to do with the rotation. It feels like even Boban can get 6 minutes and be productive in those 6 minutes, and then we won't see him the rest of the game. And I think I would just want to see Rick adjust. So if we're getting beat down low, just put him in for a few minutes and just let him at least, even things out and just kind of stop the momentum of whatever, Zubac, the last time he came in, he was looking like, what did you call him, Bibs? Zubac O'Neal or
Zubac O'Neal. Yeah, he was killing us, man.
Yeah, so I want to see Carlisle play to the matchup. So if Zubac's down there looking like Shaq or prime Dwight Howard, Boban needs to see some minutes and just at least knock Zubac on his ass or something. Just let him know that we have a physical presence that's here.
And that's the thing about Boban. That's the thing about Boban. Like when you put him in the game, he impacts the game. Like everybody changes the way they play on both sides of the ball. Like when he wasn't out there, they just kept dumping it down low or just put a shot up and have somebody in position to rebound because we didn't have any size in there. That's the thing that I think scares me about this series is that Carlisle potentially could try to play a lot of small ball. I just think that's a bad idea. I don't like Maxey and KP getting long minutes at the 5. I think MKG should also see minutes there as just to add an interior presence, a guy that's going to pursue those rebounds and things like that. Like I'm definitely intimidated by the idea of seeing Maxey down there just getting bodied by Zubac for long minutes.
I'll tell you something else I'm scared of in this series, and that is DeLon Wright minutes. I am scared to death of DeLon Wright minutes. And it's just like he doesn't play hard enough or just with a sense of urgency long enough whenever he's out there. And I'm scared to death of those minutes. Do you guys share the same thoughts, or is there anything that you're scared to death of in this series besides that might not catch the casual fan's eye?
Justin Jackson. I was kidding. But it's
hey man, right now, KP.
Go ahead.
Nah, I'm just gonna KP, Luka, Dorian Finney-Smith. That's like my read. I'm ready to go war. You give me them, I'm going war. I'm a little scared for everybody. I mean, Seth came hot and he just somebody threw water on him. He hasn't shot in a minute. Tim Hardaway Jr. He's great sometimes. Other times he can't find the basket. This series is going to be more about the other guys. It's going to be about Tim Hardaway Jr. It's going to be about Seth Curry, Justin Jackson. Don't we traded him for Harrison Barnes, and he gets in the game. He can't make a layup. So yes, I'm scared about the other guys. Even if Kawhi is not hitting, if Paul George is not hitting, the Clippers can still have 1-4 on us. So these other guys have to swell big time if it's going to be series.
That's a fact. Yes, Justin Jackson been scared the death out of me too. He doesn't work on his game during the summer. Like, you know how the Mavs, people around the Mavs, they always say Dwight Powell is always in the gym. He's always working. Justin Jackson's the complete opposite. I am convinced he doesn't spend any gym time. I think he plays video games too much. I think that's what his problem is. But yeah, Justin Jackson, he kills me.
The bad part is now, he doesn't have to do a lot. He doesn't have to do a lot. Like B6
catch and shoot.
Yeah.
And I thought he was taking steps in the right direction at the end of last year, but it came into 2019, 2020. It just ain't there. He just ain't it.
He just doesn't know what he is.
Yeah. And I think
And that's about
we touched
DeLon
on
Wright, the starter. DeLon Wright was a starter early in the year. He gets out there looking lost.
Right.
and then uses his brother to voice his frustration earlier in the year, which was wild to me. So we touched on this earlier on the Carlisle side, but how do you guys see the Carlisle versus Doc Rivers coaching matchup lining up? Do you see Doc coaching circles around him, or do you think Carlisle can hold his own as a once thought of top 5 coach in the league?
So you're gonna make me say it first. I think Doc is gonna outclass Rick start to finish. Like, I think Rick is gonna be way too dependent on Luka and KP. He's not gonna take the reins and take control. I feel like Doc is way more willing to make changes on the fly if he sees something isn't working. I think Rick is more going to try to predict things and have a plan ready. He doesn't seem to adjust in the moment as much as I would like to see him do. And I feel like those games, like we haven't given our predictions yet, but those games where, because we're going to be in every game at some point. And those games, those adjustments are going to decide which way the game goes most of the time. And I just feel like Doc is not the type to play around in those situations. He's going to make sure that he's got the right pieces in place. He's stopping momentum when we go on runs, things like that.
All right, and I'm gonna let you take the floor, Jordan, and then we'll get into a Carlisle conversation as well, because I think it's important. I think I know where you guys both stand, but we're gonna talk about that in just a second. But go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, I agree with Bibs. Just watch Clippers this year. Great coach staff. They have staff all around. Doc is name, but Sam Cassell. They got Tyronn Lue on there. They got head coaches, the assistant coaches. So I do expect to out-coached. I mean, it is what it is. I don't want to too much about Rick. We'll jump into that second. You just never know what you're going to get from Carlisle. Sometimes you expect him to make these changes, and it just doesn't happen. So I expect the Clippers to be the better coach team.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and touch on this topic real quick, but then I want to transition it to the overall thoughts on Carlisle. Because for me, I think I've been waiting for this moment the entire season. Like, I've seen all the Carlisle criticism, and he should be fired, replaced. And I've kind of held off on that talk just because I feel like I want to see him with this younger team in the playoff and see if he's still capable of making those adjustments that he has made previously. And maybe he was holding off on a playoff series to start really actually coaching once he has a full body of work for a season. I could be making excuses for him, and I'm sure you guys will tell me that in a second if I am. But for me personally, I'm a little more patient, I think, with Carlisle than a lot of Mavs fans and just a lot of people in general. So I know both of you guys want Carlisle fired, correct?
I'm not going to say fired. I said trade him. Trade him to Brooklyn for a first-round pick. Promote Jamal Mosley.
Okay. And your main reason behind that is the main reason you want Carlisle traded is or would be what?
He's a holdover of the old guard. He's the past. We're moving into a new era. You got to clean the whole slate. And I think I watch how Mosley interacts with players around the league and coaches. You can just tell he's a player's coach who guys around the league like and respect and want to play for. It'll be more than just coming to play with KP and Luka. They'll actually like the coach too. There's not going to be any Rondo type situations, I can imagine, with Jamal Mosley as the coach. And I feel like he's going to be a guy that has more skin in the game with Luka and KP because he has to make his name too, whereas Carlisle's established. He's going probably to the Hall of Fame. He doesn't have as much to lose as a Jamal Mosley would in coaching those two young guys.
All right. Now, would you compare this situation at all to when Rick Carlisle took over for Avery?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay.
He came into a ready-made situation like, hey, we need to get this W. Like we're cleaning slate. We're starting over anew. We're trying to get to the promised land. It hasn't worked with what we've had here currently.
All right, and Jordan, how would you respond to that?
I would have to agree. You know, Carlisle, you got us a championship until 11. You know, I respect for that. But one glaring stat: yes, we are a young team. We've lost the most games this year. What, less than 5 points? That's how it need to be said. I mean, it's just some games just don't know what's gonna happen. It's so crazy. I think that was that Portland. I'm not sure who. We lost game. You know, the Mavs never foul. When they're up by 2, never foul. We finally fouled, you know, so they can't shoot 3, and they got the rebound, and we still lost the game. So that's Houston. That's what it was.
Houston.
So it's just like
Covington.
Sometimes it's just like he out-coaches himself. It doesn't have to be that hard. If it's working, stick with it. Do not make a change. So I like Coach Carlisle, but I think a younger coach would definitely be better, a younger team, and also will hopefully bring in more free agents because I don't think everybody loves Carlisle as much as we.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I'm being a little more patient, but I will be ready if I don't see what I need to see as far as adjustments go in this playoffs, and if I see he's not capable of making some of those adjustments he's made in the past, I will be on board with you guys. But right now, I'm gonna stay over here, kind of on Team Carlisle right now, and kind of see how this playoffs shake out. But I think those are all valid points, and you know I've seen it the whole season. Like every time the Mavs lose a game, it's like fire Carlisle. He's not. So I've kind of remained off of that. But like I said, if this series doesn't go, okay.
So, I mean, I can't say I've been paying attention to Carlisle the entire time he's been there. But for me personally, it feels like after games, even during games, he's not as checked in as I would like to see him be. Like it's whatever to him at the end of games. Has he always been like that? Because I
like, are you talking about just body language or like his actual quote?
His body language,
I'll take the blame.
Yeah, his body language, his demeanor, his decision making, like the last plays of games look like, man, just run a pick and throw it to somebody, throw a shot up.
Throw it
like
to Tim Hardaway, let him throw up a brick, you know, even though he's 1 or 12 from the field.
It doesn't work. Let's do something else. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I can't say that I've paid attention to his body language a whole lot. Now, for me, just being on the outside and not being around the team as much, I feel like the quotes are the same. Where he always takes the blame after losses and he'll say it's his fault. I think that's still the same. That hasn't changed throughout his, 11 years here in Dallas. Or is it longer than that?
It's a little bit longer than that, I think. Like, I don't remember how it was back in the Dirk before 2011 and around that time when we were expected to win. I don't know if that's changed since then and maybe he's just gotten used to not having expectations, but it doesn't feel like he is a coach that lives and dies with the team to the level that Luka does. And I think that's how you lose Luka.
Yeah, that's an important point there too. And I think because you brought up Luka, I think that is the most important part of this, because whatever Luka wants with this organization to happen should happen. So if he wants Jamal Mosley as the coach, Mark Cuban, Carlisle, you gotta tell him to go. But like I said, for me personally, I'm just Carlisle, make me proud during this series, please. All right. So let's go ahead and move straight to the predictions. Game 1's tonight at 8 p.m. I'm putting this video out tomorrow morning, so game 1 would have already happened. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we think is going to happen during this series. Jordan, let's start with you.
Whew, man, it's hurt my heart. But I have the Mavs winning tonight. Me and you spoke before we jump on. Hopefully Montrezl does not pay. You know, I know his grandmother passed, so praying for him. But I definitely he's a huge part of the team, especially come plus time. So if it doesn't go tonight, I have the Mavericks today. But I still think Mavericks are going in 2 games. I just feel like Luka will have a crazy game. Hope KP is a good game. And I got us, losing this game. Now, if the other guys can come on, Dust Jackson, Hardaway Jr., Seth Curry, DeLon Wright, Boban, Maxi Clipper. If those guys step up, we can definitely this series. But just be realistic with self and with my heart, I got the Clippers 6.
All right. All right. So I have the Clippers in 5, and I'm giving the Mavs a game. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not fully convinced they're gonna get that one game.
Even with Carlisle making his adjustments.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think what's gonna end up happening is we'll probably play all 5 games close. But at the end of the game, I don't think we have enough players to make the plays to win the game. So that's another thing with Carlisle. It's just I don't think we have enough players to make plays at the end of the games to where I think that also makes the coach look bad. When the coach doesn't have talent, of course, the coach isn't going to look good. But at the end of the day, I just think the Clippers are going to be too much. I mean, you got obviously Kawhi, Paul George, Lou will come off the bench. Montrez is going to be back at some point, and it's just too much. And, yeah, the Mavs just don't have enough to compete with this juggernaut.
So I started out with Clippers in 6 just because I want to believe, but I did downgrade it to 5 for the same exact reasons. I just don't think we have the firepower to close those games. Like, they know who our guys are at the end of games. And then the other guys they have to worry about, like Seth and THJ, they're inconsistent. You can't trust them. So I think one game we get lucky, like we have a lead at the end and Kawhi tries to walk it down and maybe Maxey bodies him up and he misses the shot and we escape. But I can't see us getting more than one like that. I don't think they're going to give us that opportunity.
Yeah, I think Maxey could be an X factor in this series for us to maybe push it to win that game or maybe to win an additional game to the one game. I think his defense on Kawhi could be kind of slow him down just a tad bit. I mean, Kawhi's still going to get 30-plus probably each game. Paul George will probably do the same right behind him. But I think he'll make it frustrating for him a little bit. So I think we got to just take our wins within the losses almost and just kind of take it from there and take our lessons and take it into the offseason and put a better team around Luka and KP. Because I think we solved the issue with Luka and KP playing together. I think we kind of figured that out. Now we're finding out that the rest of the team isn't very good at this point. But it's year one playing together. And, all we could ask for is for the Mavs to make the playoffs. And I don't want to sound like one of those fans where it's like, rah, we made the playoffs. But, I mean, to me, that's just reality. I'm not going to be sitting here after every loss and be like, oh, we fought hard, that type of stuff. I'm not on that. But overall, when I look at the overall bigger picture of the season, I think the Mavs have a lot to be proud of, and a lot to look forward to going forward. And but yeah, that's just my last thoughts. Do you guys have any last thoughts on?
I have a question.
All right.
Would your prediction be different if we had Brunson, White, Allen, Willie Cauley time? Do you win more than one game?
For me, no. I might feel more confident about the one game. But I don't think – because Brunson, Brunson's pretty frustrating to me as well. Just because I remember he had a stretch when I think Luka was out for those 6 or 7 games or however many games he was out where he just was fumbling the bag in the fourth quarter just over and over and over and over again. But I do like Brunson that he can create his own shot at times. I just think overall he probably needs to just be slightly smarter with his decision-making. I think that's the next step in his game to evolve to that consistent playmaker that we need. But yeah, I might feel more confident about the one game, but overall for the series, I don't see that changing my prediction.
I think I'd probably give us another game if we had a little bit more depth. I could believe a little bit more that. But just because we lack that depth, I can't give us more than one game.
Yeah, I wish we really had Dwight Powell, lose that whole that live. And when Dwight Powell, that pick roll is live, he's, sitting to the basket and you put it up and he's, losing that. It hurts our offense for real.
Yeah. And it also opens up the shooters, and we don't have that either. So
Exactly.
I have a final thought.
Shout out Trey Burke, Trey Burke, balling.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about Trey Burke. Like even when I did my scouting report, after the fact, I was like, man, I didn't even mention Trey Burke at first, so I had to plug him in after the fact.
He been balling.
He could be an X factor too. So I think
he
I said
play that Brunson role.
Exactly. And that's going to be interesting to see how that goes into the offseason. But for me, this series is about figuring out who fits with Luka and KP, who's going to step up, and then whoever disappears, y'all expendable. Whatever, when these trades come up in the offseason, your name's at the top of the list if you don't show up in this series. Don't care who you are.
I think I feel confident in saying this, that we're all on board with these three players being pieces that can win a championship around Luka and KP. Number one, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, and Seth Curry. Are there any other names that I missed that you guys think could be a winning piece around Luka and KP, or are those pretty much the three?
I can't say I'm 100%. Even though I'm rocking the jersey, I can't 100% give Seth yet. I'm putting him at 85%. This series is going to tell me whether or not he's one of those guys that can be that piece. But personally, I would prefer him to be coming off the bench because that's going to be the role that I would want to see him in if he's going to be one of those title pieces in a couple years.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm going to cut it straight in the middle, 50. I'm 50 on Seth. I love the game, but is he just a shooter? Is he a slasher? Is he a creator? He has this all together. So when he puts it all together and is consistent, he's going to be a bad boy. But, man, I love Dorian Finney-Smith. I've never seen any rebound as hard. Every game is Dorian Finney-Smith. He's got better every year. His money from the corner with the three. So, Dorian, Maggie, KP, Luka, yes, sir, we got 4 way to rock and roll.
Bibs, you got a lot going on over there in South Carolina, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell the people what all you got going on before we get out of here.
You got enough time for that? No, I was kidding. So on the sports side, of course, at Bibs Corner on Twitter, always going to be firing off the hot takes. I started the podcast doing the game recaps for the Mavs. When the playoffs end, whether that's Mavs getting swept or the Mavs taking home the trophy, I'm probably going to start – I'm doing a GOAT rankings, top 50 players in the NBA. I'm going to come up with my criteria for how I rank those guys. I've already got a list of 70 people I'm choosing from, and then I'm going to go through and have reasonings for all my decisions, basically. So that's going to be coming after that. Of course, I've got my website, bibscorner.com. I put my little sports articles there. I also do some movie reviews and movie news. A lot of indie filmmakers send me their stuff to review and stuff like that. I have a separate Twitter for that, at BibsFilm. I write for NetflixLife.com and HiddenRemote.com on the movie review side and movie news. So, I barely get any time to breathe between just doing the sports stuff and then doing the film stuff. So the podcast is just the Bibs Corner on Apple, Spotify, all that, if you want to look for it. I might hop on YouTube myself. We'll see. But as of now, that's what I got going on. And I appreciate you having me on, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Thank you both for joining. Jay Ray, anything else going on in your neighborhood? What you got?
Just follow me, man, on IG, Sports So City. We're going to keep up to date. And jot on YouTube, man. So follow my subscribe. They have to subscribe to my YouTube channel. S3 TV. We're going to have a lot of stuff, man. We're going to have some Cowboy stuff. We're going to have some Maverick stuff. But, then we're going to start doing post games to the game ends. I'm going to upload a video about thoughts on the Maverick game. So, yeah, just follow me. And you're going to keep up to date as we can.
All right. Well, again, that's Bibs. That's Jay Ray, and that's been the Mr. Douglass Sports Show, episode 14. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for joining me. Until next time, salute.